rare and balanced view on politics in today's world. Based on facts, born of rationality, common sense, and logic, providing context on today's events. This is American Perspective with Rick Thomas.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to American Perspective. I am your host, Rick. So if the lighting looks a little bit different than what it has in the past, the reason for that, of course, is I received my, let's say, safetier, more safe solution for what happened on Monday. So now the lights are actually mounted to something sturdy that can't get knocked over as easily as a tripod. And they're actually like hard mounted to the desk. So the lights are at a little bit different level, you know, as far as like the height and stuff like that. So if it looks a little different, that's why. Makes me look a lot brighter. Highlights my gray in my hair. Yes. Anyway, all right, enough about that. And no, I don't need a sippy cup. All right, let's head on to today. Today, of course, being Wednesday, it is
down to business.
That's the nectar of the gods, baby.
That's right. It's Whiskey Wednesday. It's like Taco Tuesday, but for badasses. And tonight I'm drinking out of the Buffalo Trace bottle, Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. And it is out of the True Grit Roots Network glass. There you go. Right there. The famous red, white, and blue True Grit Roots Network logo. Not very many people have that logo. Anyway, and there's the requisite stones inside the glass. Let's go ahead and get the first sip. Good stuff. All right. Tonight, we start back at the top of the order for the Pledge of Allegiance. I don't think I've seen Amy in the chat as of yet. So I'm not sure if she's in there or not, but that's okay. She is up for the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you are of mine, please stand, remove your hat if you're wearing one, like me. Place your hand over your heart. Yeah, Jarhead, they do. They've left a lot. Place your hand over your heart and follow along with Amy as she recites the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And, of course, I thank you, Amy, for that wonderful rendition of the pledge. If you would like to hear your rendition of the pledge played here on the program, all you need to do is record yourself reciting or performing the pledge in your style. Take that audio file, video file, whatever kind of file, and attach it to an email, and then address that email to me. Send it off to fans, F-A-N-S, at AmericanPerspective.online. That's fans, F-A-N-S, at AmericanPerspective.online, and I will get you into the rotation. I've got 21 of these. I need 26. I want to have 26 by the end of 2026. That means I need 5 more. So 5 of you need to submit a pledge and send it off to me. If you can't do it via email, you can also save it to just open up a free version of either Drive or the free version of Box or the free version of Dropbox. Any one of those 3 will work, and they'll give you a link. You can take that link and put it in the email, and then I'll be able to download it from there. So don't fret if you can't, if the file that comes out is too big to email. You know, 30 megs 30 megabits is about the size that is allowed on most email servers, so it's okay. It's a little bit bigger than that. And if you do it on your phone, you do it through like a audio recorder app on your phone. Generally, those apps have a share option. That's SHARE, share option, and you can share it to fans at AmericanPerspective.online, and I'll be able to get it. So go ahead and get that going. I would certainly appreciate it. You know what? I just realized, Mama Five Kitties, you have been a long time Whiskey Warrior P1. Same thing with Jarhead, but I know Jarhead tried to get one to me. But Mama, I don't think I've got one from you. I don't think I've gotten a pledge from you. So, yeah, it would be much appreciated, of course. So, there you go. And, yeah, so Nana of JJS also says Facebook Private Messenger doesn't limit the size of the file. So I am on Facebook, obviously. I am on the Facebook. Yeah, and you can private message me. I do have that open for pretty much everybody. And I 3 Chevy, I don't know. I don't know if you talk faster, if it'll make the file smaller. I honestly don't know. I don't think so. But, you know, obviously, I mean, if it's shorter, then it might make it smaller. But yeah. Anyway, all right. Enough about that. Let's move on to tonight's headline sponsor, which is True Grit Roots Network. That's right. TGRN.net is our home on the web, and you can go and check us out there. We've got 2 channels, 2 signature channels, one being Walter Trout Blues Rock Radio, the other one being Dallas Moore Outlaw Radio, and you can listen to both of them right there on your browser. You can pick whichever one you want. I mean, if you want to listen to both of them at the same time, go ahead, but I don't think it's going to sound all that great. Trust me, I've tried. Anyway, you can listen to both of them right there through your app. All you have to do is hit the little play buttons on either one of those 2. Or, even better yet, and this is awesome because you can take it while you're driving. You could take us with you while you're running around town. You want to just listen, you know, maybe you're walking through a store or whatever, and you're listening to either Dallas Moore Outlaw Radio or Walter Trout Blues Rock Radio. Yeah. All you got to do is download our app. There they are. There's the link. You can grab either one off of either the App Store or Google Play, depending upon which one you have, and put us on all of your mobile devices so that you can take us with you wherever you go. Also, too, I know not a lot of people realize this, but a lot of smart TVs can actually download stuff, too, from the interwebs, play music, you know, straight from a internet connection as well. And the Live 365, who we are partnered with, Live 365 does have an app that can go to your smart TVs and your smart devices. And you can learn how to do all that, of course, and download those and then listen through your television. Sometimes it's kind of cool to have it, like if you're in a party or something and you have the TV right there, you just turn the TV on, you just play it through the TV, and it shows like all the album covers and everything else as it goes along. It's really kind of neat, kind of a neat thing. But all of those are, of course, available to you, and all you have to do is go to tgrn.net to click on those links and be able to do all of that. Also, don't forget, right up here, I'm flashing it in red. It's up at the very top of your screen if you're on the video. That's the link to the shop. That's right. Head on over to shop.tgrn.net. Get yourself some swag, man. Some swag. No, that doesn't stand for Scientific Wild Ass Guess, but but swag is available in all 3 logos, whether it's the TGRN logo, the Dallas Moore Outlaw Radio logo, or the Walter Trout Blues Rock Radio logo. We've got T-shirts, hoodies, and caps. Trucker caps, I think is what they're called. But anyway, they're all there. Every single one of them in all of the logos. And, yep, that's what you can do is you can head off. I'm personally partial to the TGRN logo myself, like what's here on the sweatshirt right here. I'm personally partial to that one, but that's okay. That's all right. And you can get them in different colors too. Like I like the black with the TGRN network logo. Keep in mind, you got to keep an eye on our store because we've got new logos coming soon, new stuff coming soon. And it looks like we got fast shipping too, because processing time is just at 2 weeks, 14 days to get like this hoodie with this black hoodie with the TGRN logo on it. Anyway, head on over to tgrn.net and you can find all of that stuff for it and listen to us 24/7, 365. That's right. True Grit Roots Network. That's what TGRN stands for, based out of Austin, Texas. All right, folks. There's a line, and for those of you who are Star Wars fans, there's a line in one of the prequels where Obi-Wan Kenobi is talking to Qui-Gon Jinn, and Obi-Wan says that, but Master Yoda told us to be mindful of the future. And that's what we need to be. We need to be mindful of the future. Not too far away, we have a midterm election. Now, midterm elections traditionally have been punishing to whoever won the last election, meaning that if the Republicans won the last election, like we did, a lot of the seats and everything else will all of a sudden turn Democrat, where they were Republican before, potentially. And so we've got to be mindful of that as we move forward. I got a couple things on that. Plus, the SAVE Act, well, it's a very popular act with the American people, but not with the Democrats. I've got some Harry Enton for you, dropping a truth bomb or two on the Democrats with regards to that. By the way, that's the Voter ID Act. And coming up at the very end of the show, Baxter. Yes, Nana of JJS submitted some new pictures of Baxter. Now, Baxter, of course, has been a pet of the week before, but that's okay because we've got some new ones. And apparently he is not a fan of snow. So we'll take a look at him at the very end of the program. All right, let's kick things off. You know how I was talking to you about that, the Billie Eilish, you know, she made the comment about being on stolen land. And then I told you about the Native American tribe that said, hey, your property is actually part of our old lands. You know, we appreciate the fact that you want to call it out, but let's name who we are, please. Well, now there's a Los Angeles attorney who has offered publicly to evict Billie Eilish from her Glendale ranch on behalf of the Tongva tribe after the stolen land comments. So the quote from the lawyer is, well, Eilish's admission that she lives on stolen land gives the tribe a rightful action for possession as the true owner of the property. Oh my gosh. Could you just imagine? Wow. So California's Sinai law firm has offered to work pro bono to secure an eviction. This would be freaking awesome if this happened. Talk about, you know, reaping what you sow. The firm's principal, Avi Sinai, further stated what I said before and said, hey, by the way, the 30-day notice is already written and ready to be served. Oh, she did this, she did this on X, or he did this on X. Sorry. Anyway, he's like, and then he goes on a more serious note. Using a phrase like stolen land has meaning and actual implications in the real world. Both Santa Monica and West Hollywood city council meetings start with land acknowledgments that they are sitting on stolen land. We have county supervisors reciting those lines too. He goes, it's both empty virtue signaling and used as a weapon at the same time. It's empty because no elected official is giving the land back to the Tongva, just like Billie Eilish is not going to get evicted, nor will she give her house back. It's used as a political weapon to attack things one side doesn't like in both local and international politics, and worse, justifying political violence. No land is stolen, just taken. I don't make the rules. That's the way history works. So now even lawyers are getting involved. I think they should just serve her the 30-day notice anyway. Just see what the hell. Just to see what the hell. Anyway, yeah. By the way, a reporter from GB News, I don't know what GB is news, I'm guessing it's like Great Britain news, I don't know. Anyway, a reporter from GB News went to the Eilish Glendale mansion and ranch to test her comments, but a massive gate and security system kept him from entering the home and the grounds. Yeah. Yeah, Tim Pool said it's a win either way. Will the courts agree it's stolen in land and dismiss the action? Oh. Now, keep in mind that if the court actually dismisses the action, then technically by law, that means that the land would not be considered legally stolen if the court goes through with it. But that way, Eilish could also still face the consequences of her hollow words and belief system. Yeah. You got to be careful what you say, man. You really have to. I mean, let's just face it. These are just crazy. And it's not just here in America that this is happening either. I mean, it's happening all over the place. Wherever you go in the North Americas, and probably any place in the world, wherever you go, you've got what could be considered, not necessarily considered stolen land, but, well, I mean, maybe you can consider it stolen. I consider it conquered. Anyway, so, yeah. Yeah. God, I would love to see this happen. I really would. Just to get a chance to shove it down her throat. Well, speaking of shoving conquered lands, stolen lands down the throat of the leftists, Donald Trump announces, or is reportedly, I don't think he announced this, but he's reportedly going to reconstruct a Christopher Columbus statue on the White House grounds. Now, it is going to be a reconstruction of the one that was damaged by rioters in Baltimore, Maryland back in 2020. Boy, that's going to piss off the leftists. I mean, you think the ballroom thing was something that was really bad. Boy, just take Christopher Columbus. They hate Christopher Columbus. They hate that. They want Indigenous Peoples Day to take over Christopher Columbus or Columbus Day. Yeah, not going to happen. Anyway, at least not, hopefully not within my lifetime. But he's reportedly planning on installing that statue on the grounds of the White House. It's going to be a reconstruction, like I said. Two people with knowledge of the matter told the Washington Post that the statue is currently expected to be located on the south side of the White House grounds, north of the Ellipse and by E Street. The Baltimore statue had been unveiled by President Ronald Reagan and in 2020 was dumped in the harbor by the rioters. So the destroyed pieces of the statue were recovered by a group of Italian-American businessmen and politicians, and working with local sculptors have been rebuilt with financial support from local charities and federal grant funding. One Italian-American businessman who helped recover the sculpture and organize the rebuilding effort, Bill Martin, said he expects the sculpture to be transferred to the Trump administration from a warehouse on Maryland's eastern shore in the coming weeks. While the White House declined to comment on the plans, spokesman Davis Ingle said, "In this White House, Christopher Columbus is a hero, and he will continue to be honored as such by President Trump." So, yeah. It's just striking back. You can't punch at this guy because he will swing. That's just how it works, okay? He's just going to swing. All right. So, the rhetoric from the left has not changed at all. It really hasn't. Apparently, New York Democrat Representative Penguin Jerry Nadler, he made a comment the other day. And let's just say that, well, it's a little bit despicable, the comment that he made. Here he is making the comment. Oh, I should have checked this link before. Come on.
But what is really the major problem in this country today is the fascism in our streets. The attacks on American citizens by masked hoodlums. If you were attacked by a masked person, you might think you were being kidnapped. You'd be justified in shooting the person to protect yourself. But what is really the major problem in this country?
Yeah. I mean, just ignore the fact that they would show up, and because obviously he's pointing to or attempting to indicate the ICE agents. Just never mind the fact that these ICE agents are wearing, tactical gear emblazoned with police badges, the word police or ICE agent. I mean, yeah. Jerry Nadler, the Penguin, is just regurgitating the whole crap narrative that is a crap narrative that is saying that, people are just randomly being grabbed off the street and that it's American citizens. There's not any evidence to support this. The few citizens that have been mistakenly picked up were released fairly easily and fairly quickly after their identities were verified. So, yeah. Jerry, I have something for you, my friend.
You're a dumbass. You're a dumbass. You're grade A, number one, bona fide first class. You're a dumbass. You're a dumbass. And you'll be one all your dumbass life.
I get a copyright strike, or not a strike, but a copyright notice every time I do that on YouTube. Even though they allow me to play it. It just puts a copyright on there. Anyway, yeah, it is copyrighted. It's copyrighted by Dennis Stephen Wright. By the way, you can get that on Spotify. And not to mention the fact that apparently I sent that over to my partner in TGRN. And he has said that he's going to add it to the rotation of DMOR, Dallas Moore Outlaw Radio. So there you go. All right. Okay. Yeah. By the way, keep in mind that this guy, they obviously don't want to turn down the rhetoric at all. And J.D. Vance called the Penguin out for this. So he unloaded on Jerry Nadler, openly calling for the shooting of ICE agents. Vance posted on X on yesterday that Jerry Nadler is one of the highest-ranking Democrats in the House of Representatives, and he is openly calling for people to shoot federal law enforcement. This is despicable behavior from an elected official, and I'm sure the left-wing media will cover it extensively. Representatives for Nadler didn't immediately respond to a request from comment on that. So 3 Chevy asks with regards to the song, he's like, if you post the credits for that, will it keep you from getting a copyright strike? Okay, just to be clear, it's not a copyright strike. there's a difference between a copyright claim and a copyright strike. Some copyright claims are just claims because they allow people to play the music on YouTube. Other times, it's a copyright strike, and it goes against your account, and if you get 3 of them, you will immediately get banned or suspended or whatever, which I've had happen in the past. But the fact of the matter is that particular song and that particular artist allows that particular song to be played on YouTube without any repercussions to the person other than just putting a copyright claim on it. Now, you also asked whether or not if you put it in the credits. Well, I have it in the description of the video that does go up on YouTube now. And I thought that it would, but I don't know. It may not, because I give credit in my description for that. So we'll have to see. But I've got it up there now. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, it doesn't, I mean, honestly, I don't get very many views on YouTube, so I don't really care. As it is. All right. Well, a Minnesota family, let's move on to Minnesota. So a Minnesota family has decided to do the right thing and self-deport. Now, the reason why they are self-deporting is by their own admission, because they are afraid of the fact that they could get picked up and sent out. And they're tired, quote unquote, tired of living in fear. But they've decided to deport themselves. And the DHS, of course, is still offering illegal aliens a free plane ride and money if they self-deport. Not to mention the fact that if you self-deport illegals, you don't get any strikes against you, meaning that you can come back through the legal channels the right way at a later date. Yeah. So, yeah. They're on their way out. They've decided to leave. They essentially, according to the, let's see, where is this? Let's see if they give the credit to where this is. Who's talking about it? Well, anyway, the family says that they kept watching the street, afraid to leave the house, all around their South Minneapolis neighborhood. Trump operations Metro Surge, or Trump administration's Operation Metro Surge, was raging. Immigrants were being pulled from their cars. And of course, this is obviously a leftist thing. Through smashed windows, marched out of their homes into the freezing cold. Yeah, that's probably not what's happening if they were not being interfered with. Anyway, the guy says, or the father of the house and his wife and their 5 kids were already on the path to legal status and say their immigration case was up to date, but they were increasingly afraid to go to work, school, or to the store for food, diapers for their grandson. So, they said, we didn't come here with bad intentions. We came here to work. Now we are afraid to stay. We are afraid to go outside. So on the 23rd, the whole family made the difficult decision to return to their home country of Ecuador. The move came after months of deliberation and the sudden deportation of immediate family members. So, yeah, I'm sorry, but, you should have gone through this. I mean, how many years have you been here? Let's see if it even says how many years they've been here. I did not see that in any of the, no, I don't see, it doesn't say how many years they've actually been here. But anyway, by the way, by doing it this way, it actually keeps your family together. So, yeah. Honestly, that's a smart move. It's a smart move. And they can apply to come back in again. So, yeah. Anyway. Oh, and keep in mind, of course, that anyone who violates immigration law is technically a criminal. Even if the crime is just a misdemeanor, you're still a criminal. You're just not a bad criminal. You're not a, felonious criminal. Breaking the law means you're a criminal. That's the definition of breaking the law. Why the left even sits here? I know there's a lot of people who say, well, immigration is a civil matter. Except there's only one problem. When the punishment can be up to and including jail time, that tells you that it is a criminal matter. It may be viewed as a civil matter because it's not handled in the criminal court system, but there's a reason why the Congress did what they did and turned it into what they are considering just administrative proceedings. It's called they didn't want to overflow the existing federal court systems, by the way, that they created. I just want to bring that out. Congress created the lower tiered court system. So they can change it at any time. I mean, they can make it. And that's one of what some of the Democrats are trying to say. They're like, hey, we want to change immigration law and make it so that you have to have a judicial warrant in order to go and get these people. Well, so in other words, you're going to take it out of the civil hands that you currently have them in, and you're going to go and stick yourself in, criminal court and back everything up even more? Yeah, I don't think so. That just doesn't seem to make sense. But that's what they're trying to do. That's what they're attempting to do. Well, here's another thing that the leftists are probably going to be like, oh yeah, this is a positive, but they won't realize why. So Tom Homan has only been in Minnesota for basically, I think about a week, maybe, roughly, just guessing. But, Homan announces that there's going to be a drawdown of roughly 700 federal agents in Minnesota. Now, of course, the left is probably sitting there, and I was going to sit here and say, oh my gosh, oh wow, yeah, 700, that's great. Yeah, well, there's only one problem. The reason why that happened is because of the fact that Homan states there has been unprecedented cooperation with local counties in terms of the honoring of the detainers on the illegal alien prisoners. So in other words, the local law enforcement is now actually doing what they should have been doing from the beginning. That never would have gotten to the point. People, this is just ridiculous. I feel bad about even talking about this because it just seems so freaking obvious to me. You dumbasses. I should play that song again. But you dumbasses that, seriously, I mean, come on. All the police departments and sheriff's agencies and local cops and everything else, all they had to do in order to avoid all of the hubbub and the 3,000 agents heading into Minneapolis, all they would have had to do was just honor the fact that, hey, if we run across an illegal alien who does something criminal, we're going to honor the fact that we're going to hand them over to federal agencies. Seriously. I mean, how simple is that? And now, because of all this, guess what? You get what you wanted. You gave us, or you're giving us, meaning the people who want to enforce the law, you're basically doing what we asked you to do from the get-go. So, yeah. Now, Homan did mention that this is smarter enforcement not less enforcement. So Holman said that the administration is not drawing down on personnel providing security for the officers either. And also, too, keep in mind that they are leaving the people in place. They are leaving the people in place that are doing the fraud investigation as well. So this is just like, people that aren't, I don't know, that aren't really all that important. So realistically, in the grand scheme of things. So now the Trump administration's goal, of course, is to end the surge of federal agents in the city, Holman said, but this will be dependent upon the continued cooperation with the local authorities and a decrease in attacks and hateful rhetoric against ICE and Border Patrol agents, he added. So, yeah. There you go. And by the way, the current count of people that have been arrested in Minneapolis alone, federal law enforcement has arrested 14 people who have had homicide convictions, meaning they are killers, murderers. Okay. 87 people with sex-related offenses, meaning rapists, child molesters. 28 gang members, yep, and 139 people who had assault convictions. So, there you go. All right, so anyway, so there you go. Yeah, the left kind of gets what they want, but they obviously gave everything up for it, which is cool. I'm actually, excited, of course, to hear that, because that actually means that things are going better in Minneapolis and in Minnesota. All right. Well, we've got a couple of things coming up. Obviously, big things coming up. The first being 2026's midterm elections. We got to turn our faces toward that. We need to be mindful of that future thing, because, to be completely honest, there's a lot of stuff that's going to happen between now and then that we need to start cataloging for the midterms. We'll get to that in just a moment, but first, I want to speak to you about Rumble Premium. So as you've probably noticed, Rumble is growing fast and it's not slowing down. They're building a real alternative to big tech that puts creators first and actually protects free speech. And now there's this thing called Rumble Premium, which is an easy way to go ahead and upgrade your experience. With Premium, you get ad-free viewing across the platform. No pre-rolls, no interruptions, just the content that you came for, like this show. Plus, Premium members will also unlock exclusive content like bonus videos, behind-the-scenes drops, and more from your favorite creators. Right now, Rumble is offering $10 off of an annual subscription. All you have to do is go to rumble.com/premium. That's rumble.com/premium. Use the promo code STUDIO, STUDIO, at checkout, and you'll be receiving that $10 off your annual subscription to Rumble Premium. That's rumble.com/premium, promo code STUDIO to get that $10 off an annual subscription. No ads, more freedom, and content that you actually care about. That's the deal. Go to rumble.com/premium. Use promo code STUDIO at checkout to get that $10 off your annual subscription. Rumble.com/premium. Promo code checkout. All right. Well, folks, I don't know. This kind of snuck under the radar, but you know those wonderful Doge cuts that we did? You know those aid agencies? You know that foreign aid that is technically unconstitutional because there's nothing in the Constitution, in Article 1, Section 8, that even remotely relates to giving American taxpayer money to foreign entities regardless. Okay? Well, here's a aid agency that is corrupt, by the way. That is corrupt. But this aid agency was saved. Not by Democrats, but by 11 individual Republicans who have saved this. Now, you ask yourself, why did they save it? To be honest with you, I honestly don't know. But this is part of the problem, people. Yes, both parties, okay, are at fault in a lot of these cases. And until we can clean up, particularly the Democrats absolutely, the Democrats are, for sure. Okay. The absolute Democrats, we got to get rid of them, but we also have some in the Republican Party that need to go as well. So this in the Daily Wire, how hours after the African Development Foundation's chief financial officer admitted to bribery, the Senate voted on whether to abolish this obscure federal aid agency. Now, I want to know, and I know my Whiskey Warrior P1s, they got their Constitution right there at their fingertips, their leather-bound U.S. Constitution right there at their fingertips. And I want to know where in Article 1, Section 8, does it talk about funding these foreign agencies, these NGOs? I just want to know, okay? I just want to know, where is it? What does it connect to? Now, the Senate voted on whether to abolish this thing, and the vote only required a simple majority. Yet it failed. It failed 42 to 58. The 11 Republicans joined all of the Democrats in the Senate to go ahead and table the amendment. Republicans acting alone could have defunded it, according to Senator Mike Lee of Utah. He says, and they should have done so after the USADF's acting chairman and CEO called for it to be defunded based on what he described as a culture of chronic fraud, waste, and abuse within the USADF. The amendment's sponsor, again, Mike Lee, said, he goes, I look forward to hearing my colleagues explain their votes. Well, the Daily Wire asked all 11 senators for their rationale this past weekend, and none of them replied. So here's the 11 Republicans that decided to keep around a corrupt NGO, unconstitutional NGO. John Bozeman of Arkansas, Shelley Capito of West Virginia, Susan Collins of Maine, Kevin Kramer of North Dakota, Lindsey Graham of South Carolina, John Hoeven of North Dakota, Mitch McConnell of Kentucky, Jerry Moran of Kansas, Lisa Murkowski of Alaska, Tom Tillis of North Carolina, and finally, Roger Wicker of Mississippi. Or it could be Missouri. No, Missouri's MS, Mississippi. Now, keep in mind, the African Development Foundation staff locked its doors to prevent the Doge staffers from auditing it, making the agency a cause célèbre of the left. but its chief financial officer this week agreed to plead guilty to taking bribes and lying to law enforcement. One of the African groups to which the agency steered money was run by this guy, Zahui, Zahui, Zahui's friend, a fellow former federal employee who got contracts for literally doing nothing and wired some of it to Zahui's personal bank account. Now, the Daily Wire, of course, exposed the ADF back in May, and the story showed how many of those who have seen the agency operate up close believe it should be abolished, even though they almost all identify as liberals. Well, the agency would give money to African groups as grants so it looked like it was complying with its mission, but then require the African groups to pay bureaucrats in Washington, D.C. And this is how this roundabout money laundering scheme works. Now, the story back in May said in one instance, the African Development Foundation awarded a grant to a Kenyan journalism group called Africa 24 and directed that group to, in turn, pay the salaries of Americans at the federal agency's D.C. headquarters. Yeah. It's money laundering all the way around, folks. It's all the way around. And by the way, it's not just him or the main guy. And by the way, the general counsel, Matteo Dunn, found that its then CEO, a guy named C.D. Glynn, had omitted his affiliation with an outside group called Root Capital from his legally required ethics disclosures, while the ADF directed money to the group Root Capital. In another example, an agency program manager named Kate Ristoff said in a videotaped internal investigative interview that, quote, the agency gave grants to the Association of Ghana Industries on the condition that it pay Pixera Global, which is a DC organization where Glenn previously worked as director of business development, to do a study of the artisan sector of Ghana. She's like, we're in that murky territory of like, is this legal? The CEO specifically directed it. She said that the agency trains African grantees to avoid third world style corruption by only giving out contracts that have been competitively bid at arm's length. Yet she was forced to tell them that the Americans were ordering them to do the opposite. He said, it puts me in a compromising position. Yeah. Now, keep in mind, this is literally what we want. We as Americans want to have removed from our government. We want waste, fraud, and abuse gone. We want all of our taxpayer dollars to actually go to what they are supposed to be, taxpayer-funded projects. Not this money laundering scheme of wrapping around the horn and coming back in terms of other organizations and money. Folks. And then you have people like these 11 Republicans who literally voted to table the amendment to get rid of it and to defund it. We don't need those kinds of people in government. We don't. Something to think about for the 2026 midterms. Well, there was a special vote, and I don't think anybody realized this, that it was a special vote, but it's in Texas. It was a special vote for a state Senate district, and everybody on the left anyway, was celebrating. Most people on the right were going, oh my God, this signals the end of the GOP. Keep in mind, they're fear-mongering, okay? They're fear-mongering, all right? The reason why I say that is because there's some parts and pieces that both sides are sort of not telling you. The first thing is that this was a special election, and this special election was a special runoff in Texas's state Senate District 9. And yes, it was a historic upset. Okay. But there's only one problem. That same district comes up to a vote again, or comes up as an election again later in 2026. So a guy by the name of Mark Lucas, he's the founder of Veteran Action. He stated that a progressive political action committee funded by George Soros spent $500,000, that's $500,000, to flip this race in a district where President Donald Trump secured a 17-point victory. Now, it went 14 points for the Democrats. And, of course, all of the pundits have been sitting here going, oh, my gosh, this signals the end, or this is a warning shot across the bow, a big red flag, so on and so forth, to the GOP with regards to this. Well, the reality of it is this. And by the way, keep in mind, don't forget that the 2026 midterms, if the Democrats win, you can almost guarantee, it is like a 100% safe bet, that Donald Trump will be impeached in 2027 and possibly 2028. It's an almost guarantee. So we cannot, as, and I'm not even really a Republican, but as conservatives, we need to ensure that the Democrats do not get back into power. Because if they do, all you're going to see for the following 2 years after that will literally be nothing going on, but in terms of the news, but Donald Trump being impeached. Donald Trump being impeached. That's all you're going to see. They are guaranteed to do all of that. It's guaranteed. They're going to quickly impeach Trump if they get in, if they retake the House in 2026. They will obstruct the America First agenda. They will do everything that they can in order to remove this, in order to remove Trump's effectiveness. Now, the thing about it is, though, is that this particular runoff, okay, and by the way, again, this guy, Rehmet, R-E-H-M-E-T, defeated the Republican opponent, Lee Wambsganss, W-A-M-B-S-G-A-N-S-S. I don't even know how to pronounce that. That's just like a bunch of letters thrown together. Anyway, they, the vote vets who backed this guy celebrated his victory because they flipped the district, supposedly. Here's the problem, though, okay? The Texas scorecard noted that the special election runoff saw a low turnout, which is what happens in these special election runoffs. There's just under 95,000 ballots that were actually cast. That represents roughly 15% of all the registered voters for that Senate seat. Now, Wambsganss, whatever, she called the January 31st election results a wake-up call, because it is. I mean, it is sort of a wake-up call, let's be honest. But she also points out that, well, we're going to be facing each other again in November anyway, and I fully expect the results to be different. She said the dynamics of a special election are fundamentally different from a November general election, and she is not wrong. Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, yes, essentially a 31-point swing from 17 Republican to 14 Democrat. I mean, that's a large swing. But you can't necessarily calculate that as a fully representative or a full representative of the actual district. Because of the fact that this was a special election. And by the way, there's even suggestion that this guy may not even be able to hold a vote. Because the seat, again, is going to be contested in November of 2026 for the full 4-year term, but that there won't be another session for the legislature in Texas until January of 2027. So they've already done everything. They've adjourned. They won't come back until after the elections, the general election in November of 2026. So this guy may not even get a chance to do anything, which honestly is really a good thing. But at the same time, though, you need to temper that with the idea of, well, you can't go in with the whole idea that you're going to win, that you're assuredly going to win. What you need to do is you need to go in with the idea that, hey, we need to act as though we are 5 to 6 points down. Every single race across the entire United States, we as conservatives need to act as though we are running behind. Even if we're running ahead by 14, 15, 20 points. In the polls, you cannot trust the polls. Look at what happened to Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton trusted the polls. She had, at one point, there was like a 98% assurance that she was going to win the presidency. And Donald Trump actually did. We need, as conservatives, from now until the end of time, we need to act as though we are behind all the time, even when we're ahead. Campaign, campaign, campaign. We've got to make sure that we pick the right kind of people because, again, we don't want the stupid-ass 11 Republicans to be jumping in there. We don't want that to happen. What we want is good quality candidates, and we want to keep those good quality candidates in office. Can't afford to sit on our laurels in these. We can't afford to sit on our laurels, even in these midterm races. We can't. And we usually do. I mean, Republicans, this is one thing that Republicans have been doing for as long as I can remember. They go out, they win a majority, and they sit there and they say, okay, well, now we're going to do what we said we're going to do. And we're going to go ahead and do it. And the people are going to love it. And they're going to come back for us. And then the next thing you know, they're back in the same place because the Democrats have gotten out and maneuvered, and their sycophantic Borg-like followers have all of a sudden showed up because, oh my God, you can't have a Republican representing you anywhere. Yeah. All right. Well, there's another thing that is on the docket that I got to tell you. This, provided that it passes, could change everything. Now, the Republicans tried to get it passed before, and it failed. The Democrats are all saying that, yeah, we're not going to do this. We're not going to do this. And I'm just going to point out to you that if the Republicans can get off their asses and actually start promoting this whole thing instead of just expecting the American people are paying attention, because they're not, okay? Because they're not. But the SAVE Act has shown up once again. Now, most people, you know, the left keeps trying to tell you, oh, no. You know, if you're black, you don't want ID. You know, that's just Jim Crow 2.0. If you're Mexican or, you know, Hispanic, if you're Hispanic, yeah, you don't want that. That's just Jim Crow 2.0. Well, unfortunately, Harry Enton's got some truth bombs, and I won't play the Scott Jennings truth bomb. That's for him. That's for Scott. But Harry Enton of CNN has got some truth bombs, and I gotta point out to you, this is why they really need to focus on the SAVE Act and put it out there in front of everybody. And, well, I'll just let Harry tell you all about it.
Take a look here. Favor photo ID to vote. 85% of white people favor it. 82% of Latino. 76% of black Americans favor it. So the bottom line is this. Voter ID is not controversial in this country. A photo ID to vote is not controversial in this country. It is not controversial by party, and it is not controversial by race. The vast majority of Americans agree with Nicki Minaj that, in fact, you should have a photo ID to be able to vote. So something of a non.
Now, what's interesting, he mentioned Nicki Minaj. Now, I know about, sort of, peripherally, I know about Nicki Minaj, and that's actually where this article came from, is that Nicki Minaj came out and started talking about photo ID. I got to tell you, that's the kind of advertisement that we need to do. That is it, folks. We need people to understand this is an American issue. This is not something that, well, you know, This is something that is across the board. Again, it's that 80-20. It's that 80-20 issue, just like immigration. Immigration is an 80-20 issue. That's what you call these things, where the vast majority of the public are behind it, are behind the policy. That's what we need to do. We need to pressure these people, and we need to make them realize that, hey, we want this. We as Americans, we want this. We don't want this to no longer go around and everything else. And by the way, I mean, they've already pointed out, multiple parties. Now, John Berman, before that clip, John Berman was like, hey, what about by party? What's the party breakdown? And Harry Enton responded back, and he goes, well, normally you might expect, hey, there'd be a big divide by party, with Republicans really for it and Democrats really against it, but not really here. He says, I mean, just take a look here. Favor photo ID to vote. You get 95% of Republicans. That's pretty much all of them. But even 71% of Democrats favor voter ID to vote. Again, even Democrats are a part of this. And just imagine what the independents are looking at. So yes, this is a 80-20 issue. This is an 80-20 issue. This is something that the Republicans should get on board with. And when the Democrats vote it down, you, as Republicans, just every single advertisement, every single time you're in front of the camera, every single time you're in front of the press corps, as the presidential, the White House press secretary, the president, just point out, hey, you know what? Democrats don't like this. Even though everybody in America likes it, Democrats don't like it. Yeah, this is the way that you get reelected. And what Nicki Minaj posted on X was basically this: what sensible, forward-thinking, cutting-edge leading nation is having a debate on whether or not there should be voter ID? She says they're actually fighting not to have people present ID when voting for your leaders. He's like, do you get it? Do you get it now? Folks, this one thing, one particular item is vastly popular, no matter what political party, ethnic background, all of it. And yet the Democrats are going to sit here and say, oh, yeah, these are Jim Crow 2.0. And they're not Jim Crow. It's vastly popular to have a photo ID to vote. That's all it is. Now, I take it one step further, and I'm like, hey, okay, I take it one step further, and I say, it should be a government, like federal government issued, meaning either it complies with the Real ID Act, which, by the way, would be pretty damn easy to say, hey, any ID should just follow the Real ID Act, which does require that you put in your birth date, and in special circumstances, you have to submit your birth certificate, which would validate. Most people put in most people who have a certified document that says their birth date, that's their birth certificate. So it just automatically verifies citizenship right there. So, I mean, come on, seriously. Anyway. Now, of course, the Democrats keep calling all of this in the SAVE Act as being racist. But yet, as you just heard Harry Hunton say, even other races, people of color, are for this kind of thing. And this is ridiculous. To sit here and say, hey, you know what? No, we're not going to do this. We're not going to do this. It's all crap, all of it. And then when you have things like massive voter fraud exposed in different states, whether it was Pennsylvania or Georgia or God knows where else, now you kind of understand where the leftists are coming from in terms of what they are trying to do here. They are attempting to block and keep legal voter. They're trying to block and keep voter fraud. They're trying to make it available to anybody. That's the point. They're trying to make it available to anybody to be able to do voter fraud because they can't fight on the 80-20 issues. They can't fight. They can't fight on immigration. They can't fight on things like voter ID because those are popular 80-20 issues. We need to pay attention. We need to focus on the future as well. All right. Well, one thing that did hurt Republicans in the state of California today, in an unsigned order and decision, they didn't even explain why. In a 9-0 unsigned order decision from the SCOTUS, the U.S. Supreme Court is going to allow California to use its newly redrawn congressional map. I got to tell you, probably the reason for this is because of the fact that SCOTUS doesn't want to get involved. They really don't. I mean, traditionally, voting has been held to be the exclusive purview of Congress and the state legislatures. That's it. The court has traditionally not gotten involved. It wasn't until the hanging Chad incident where the court really got involved. And yeah, they got their hand slapped for that because there were a lot of people who believed that Al Gore actually won. So now California's redistricting is going to hold, just like SCOTUS upheld Texas's redistricting. So now it's going to come down to maybe some population changes in 2030, which looking toward that, it's looking like there's going to be a huge shift toward the Republicans in 2030. Because of the massive changes that are going on in places like California, where the exodus from California to places like Texas and Florida is amazing because of all the additional taxes and all the additional regulations and everything else. So, unfortunately, this was a loss to the Republicans. But let's face it, California, I mean, unfortunately, I'm sorry. I know I've got some California Whiskey Warrior P1s, but unfortunately, you're behind the lines just like I am. You're behind the enemy lines. Now, I want to leave you guys on a note on a couple of things. Well, hi, Barb. Barb, oh, just before I get on to the next one, Barb over on Facebook, she says, I never get a notification. You know, I'm going to be honest with you, Barb. You should go over to rumble.com. You should go over to rumble.com, sign up for an account, and click that green follow button after you search up the American Perspective channel, because I'm telling you, that one you will get notifications. I get notifications of my own transmissions. I get notifications in my email every single time that I go live, and that's what you should do. You should head on over to rumble.com, get yourself an account. It's free. You don't really have to watch it. Just use it for the the notification if you really don't want to watch on Facebook. So head on over to rumble.com. Sign up for the account. Seriously, it's free. All right. Okay. So this, folks, one of the principles that you have, this next story is going to floor you if you haven't seen it. But one of the principles that you have is that whenever there is something that is going wrong in the country, okay, whenever something is going wrong in the country, whenever something itself is wrong in and of itself, just morally wrong, okay, it isn't until something happens to a person's pocketbook where all of a sudden people will start taking notice. Now, I don't know if you knew about this, but there was a detransitioner case where this young girl, okay, and I don't have all the details, but this young girl at 11 or 12 years old, maybe she was a little older than that, but she started questioning her gender. And she went in to go have, conversations with a psychiatrist, a psychologist. Okay. And she went in for treatment. And apparently the psychologist essentially encouraged her because of her questioning. Okay, I'm being corrected by my producer, my unofficial producer. She was 16 at the time. See, this is why I have unofficial producers. They're awesome. Anyway, and this is why I can't get anything. I can't pull over anything on my Whiskey Warrior P1s because they're all freaking smarter than I am. Anyway, so this young girl at 16 goes and gets essentially her mother gets told, hey, if she does not start transitioning into a boy, you are going to lose her to suicide. Talk about pressure. You're basically being told that if your daughter doesn't become a boy, that she's going to kill herself. Now, well, what kind of choice does that make? Okay, what kind of choice does that present for a parent? So the mother went along with it, but she felt like she was pressured into doing so. Which, I mean, let's be honest, can't get any more pressured than that. In being told that your child, your offspring that you love is going to potentially take their own life. So she goes through what's known as top surgery. She has a double mastectomy. She gets her breasts taken away. Well, she goes through puberty. She comes out on the other side and she realizes that, you know what? I'm not a boy. I'm a girl. as the vast majority of those with gender dysphoria in the teenage years generally come out the other side and realize that, hey, I'm not what I thought I was. That they go through puberty, they get on the tail end of it, and they realize that, hey, I am comfortable being whatever, a girl, a boy, whatever it is. Which this is a great opportunity. I'm just going to point this out to you. I did an interview with one of my Whiskey Warrior P1s, Becky from Australia, and you have got to go back and listen to the interview, okay? You need to go back and listen to the interview. Fantastic interview from an individual who honestly has lived all through this, is currently living with transitioning and realizing that they were born in the wrong body and that kind of thing. You need to go back and listen to that interview. It's a fantastic interview. Anyway, and I'm not really all that great of an interviewer. Okay, that's it. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not that great of an interviewer. She's the one, Becky's the one that upheld the interview. Anyway, all of that being said, so she goes through, she gets this top surgery. She finally realizes that, hey, I'm not a boy, I'm a girl. And now she decided to sue for malpractice, medical malpractice. Now, this is one of the first, I believe, it may actually even be the first, that has actually succeeded in suing for medical malpractice. The family was awarded a $2 million settlement. And now the legal, shall we say, glass ceiling has been broken. Now, the thing about it is that you can't change some people's minds until it affects them directly. Well, now that this detransitioning legal case has ended in the positive, there is another detransitioner who is a outspoken vocal advocate, and I can't remember this person's name, but an outspoken vocal advocate for the detransitioning and the horror of going through these kinds of things, whose current case is in court. And that individual posted on X, I wish I could tell you their name, but that individual posted on X and was saying, hey, this gives me hope. And now, even more, there is a statement that has come out, and there are other folks who are now starting to point out that, well, maybe this is the wrong thing. And I'm talking about medical people, okay? Medical people. So in a statement to the National Review, this comes from the Daily Wire, in a statement to the National Review, the AMA said that the evidence for gender-affirming surgical intervention in minors is insufficient for us to make a definitive statement, adding that it agrees with the American Society of Plastic Surgeons that surgical interventions in minors should generally be deferred to adulthood. So now you have medical organizations that are starting to realize that, maybe we were wrong on this. And by the way, the AMA added, that's the American Medical Association, added that it supports evidence-based treatment, including other types of so-called gender-affirming care for minors. Now, the ASPS released a statement on Tuesday that said available evidence does not support genital procedures or removing the breasts of young girls who identify as boys. The ASPS also said that there is insufficient support for placing kids on puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones. Now, the pivot from the AMA is also particularly stark since the association has gone in the past all in on transgender procedures for minors, even in the face of the mounting evidence that such action is harmful and often irreversible. Now, keep in mind, the timing of this can't be ignored, okay? Because just last week was that $2 million judgment in this young woman's lawsuit against medical professionals who advanced and performed the removal of her healthy breasts at 16 years old as part of that transgender treatment. Mere months ago, folks, mere months ago, the AMA reaffirmed its commitment to transgender procedures for minors in the wake of the Supreme Court ruling in the United States versus Skermeti, which effectively allowed states to ban such surgeries. Back then, the AMA said that they were disappointed in today's decision that opens the door for further intrusion into patient care and harmful government interference into the practice of medicine. Now, again, keep in mind, now, all of a sudden, they got some skin in the game. Because now, all of a sudden, people can actually go after them for medical malpractice. Because now, all of a sudden, you have doctors, nurses, medical centers that can all get brought onto the legal carpet and being held accountable for the decisions that are being made in what is arguably a very tumultuous time for a young individual. And not only that, but you also have those same people, those same young individuals who legally have no ability to approve any of this stuff. To approve any of this stuff at all. That now you have parents, mothers mostly, but even some fathers who are pushing some of this stuff. Okay? All of this stuff, this is wrong. It is completely wrong. Now, I'm just telling you, I mean, again, one of my Whiskey Warrior P1s, highly respect individual. They're an adult. They made the choice after they were an adult to transition from one sex into another. Becky lives life as a woman. Gone through the procedures. I'm telling you, you got to go back. You got to go listen to that interview because there is so much information there that Becky delves into. And I mean, I feel bad because I think we barely even scratched the surface realistically. But all of this is just now we're starting to get to a point where, you know, the same thing happened if you look back in history, and I hate to kind of minimalize this, but this is the same type of thing that happened. Okay? The same kind of thing happened with children working in mines. Children working at even young ages. You know, many of the laws in this country that require child labor, that cover child labor came from the fact that these kids were dying. And somebody finally got we'll say the cojones up to cause problems, legally cause problems for these people. And so now, because they have a monetary investment here, all of a sudden, oh, you know what? Maybe that wasn't the smartest decision in the world for us. So, yeah. Well, there you go. This is a positive sign, folks. This is a positive. We need to take this as a win. And I hope for the rest of those who are in these legal cases, for the rest of these young people who have been used for the movement, the cause, get at least some sort of recompense for their pain and suffering. Seriously. I wanted to talk about this article a long time ago, but things, a few days ago, but things kind of fell through the cracks. So now I'm able to bring it back. So there you go. Anyway, all right, folks, let's get on to tonight's most popular and fantastic, a fan favorite of a segment, and that is tonight's Pet of the Week. All right, tonight's Pet of the Week. Tonight's Pet of the Week has been submitted by none other than Nana of JJS, my unofficial producer. And she has this dog, this red, I'm going to call it a red roan. And I can't remember what Baxter, I can't remember what Baxter is, but Baxter is just a fantastic puppy. Fantastic puppy. And let me just say, well, let me get him up here on the screen. Excuse me while I switch. There we go. Let's hope this shows up. There he is. There's Baxter with his buddy. That's Baxter with his buddy. Let's see. Who is this? Sparky. So that's Baxter and Buddy, or Baxter and Sparky, his buddy Sparky, and they cuddle together. Oh, Baxter is a Rottweiler Labrador mix, according to Nana. He's over in the chat. She's talking. She's. Anyway, so there's Baxter and Sparky. They're kind of hanging out together, and apparently, Baxter, 99% of the time, he is asleep on a comfy blanket near Nana somewhere. So, yeah. There's Baxter on his. Well, Baxter, of course, is kind of like filing a complaint right now. He's complaining about the fact that his bathroom has been a little cold here recently with all of the snow and the snowstorms that have been going on. So he's filing a complaint with the bathroom cold department. Anyway, there's another picture a little bit later on. That's him. There he is. He's a lap dog. That's right. He's a lap dog. Sorry, I'm covering up the words lapdog, but he's apparently a lapdog for Nana. And I've heard tell, I don't know if this is true, but I've heard tell from Nana that whenever the show comes on and she sits down to, do her producer duties and things of that nature, keep me on my toes, that all of a sudden she's wrapped in fur. And I'm not talking about wrapped in a fur blanket. Technically, she's wrapped in two animals, Sparky and Baxter. And there he is. He's, once again, as always with these kinds of animals, they spend a lot of time sleeping. He's keeping Nana warm, probably during the show. I'm guessing. Probably during the show. And last but not least, there's one thing that you need to understand about Rottweilers, and even those Rottweiler mixes. They do drool. They drool. I don't know how long that is, but I got to tell you, that's probably at least like 4 inches long hanging out of his mouth. Yeah. One thing you have to take into account when you're dealing with dogs like Rottweilers and even some pit bulls and the, some of the more bully breeds is that they do drool. So there's Baxter drooling. All right. Now, thank you, Nana, for sending over the update. Oh, wait, there's one more. I forgot. Oh, there they are again. Here he is upside down. There's a couple. So here they are upside down Oh, Nana said that one was 1.5 feet long. Holy crap. So that's basically 18 inches. Jeez, that's long. Anyway, as usual, they tend to roll over on their back. Even Angus does that, which for those of you that don't know, Angus is my older puppy. We just got stairs for him. Of course, that was what caused the whole thing, but he got a clean bill of health here recently. The vet did some blood work and goes, hey, you know, he's about the healthiest older dog that I've seen in quite some time. So you're doing something right. Yeah, there he goes. Look, he's got balls. I mean, and I'm not talking about like his, I'm talking about tennis balls and other chew toys. Here's the current situation. Not like right now, though, I don't think. But anyway, yeah, there they are. See, I messed up the order here of these. See, I told you, it's, you know, how many pictures do you have of these guys right next to you? They must all be during the show, right? They must all be during the show. Anyway. Oh, okay. I should have put a hand over the spot, but yeah, this is another one of Baxter's complaining about his cold, about the cold bathroom. Okay, I'm done. Yeah, we'll go back to this. All right. Well, thank you, Nana, for allowing us to see updated photos. Updated photos of Baxter. If you would like to have your, yeah, I know I should have watched, or I should have looked at those pictures a little bit more. He was downloading some Democrat opinions. Okay, here he's downloading some Democrat opinions right there. All right, that's it for tonight. Oh, we've had a lot of fun. All right, that's it for tonight. If do me a favor, if you haven't already, head on over to rumble.com, get yourself an account. It is free. And once you are signed up and signed in, make sure that you search up the American Perspective channel and hit that green follow button to get notified every time that I go live. Also, too, don't forget to hit those thumbs up, thumbs downs, or thumbs sideways if you're 3 Chevy across all of my platforms. And by the way, too, there was something else that if you want to feature your pet of the week next week, you need you need to send it in to fans, FANS, at AmericanPerspective.online. That's fans, FANS, at AmericanPerspective.online. And I will get you into the next pet of the week next Wednesday. We'll see you tomorrow night, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on American Perspective. Have a great rest of your evening, and good night, everybody.